last thing on this, sorry.
Ça va. Oui, ça va, je suis prêt. Vraiment, c'est presque tout un an pour la voir si vous faites quelque chose de petit.
Morning. Morning, how are you?
I'm fine, how are you? Everything okay?
Yes, as always. Doing everything at the same time.
Everything under control.
Control, exactly.
Okay, good morning, everybody. We are about to start the working group meeting. So, yes. So I'm please asking you to take your seats. Good morning. Time to start our working group meeting. So good morning, bonjour tout le monde, bonjour autres colleagues.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, colleagues.
Dear colleagues, it's my pleasure to welcome you and open you to the 21st meeting of the Working Group on Monitoring and Assessment under the UN Water Convention. My name is Anna-Stiina Heiskanen. I'm coming from Finland, from the Finnish Environment Institute, and I'm also representing Finland in the Bureau of the Water Convention. I'm happy to introduce my colleague for co-chair, Mr. Bagari Fati from Senegal, also the member of the Bureau. And with this, we will start our 21st meeting. It was really nice to have these 2 days prior to our workshop meeting, where we had a good opportunity to hear about the new innovations, challenges and opportunities with respect of the new and innovative techniques for monitoring and assessment of transboundary water. There was the global workshop for 2 days, and now today we will hear a short report from the outcomes of the workshop. That was very inspiring, and the discussions were really very constructive and encouraging concerning the future of the workshop. So thank you for those of you who were also participating in this workshop. And finally, yesterday we had a nice reception in the permanent representation of Finland here in Geneva, which was also a good opportunity to build cooperation and friendships among the community of practice, all of us who are working on monitoring and assessment and management of transboundary waters. So the current objectives for our 2018 meeting of the working group are to discuss, first of all, the preparation of the United Nations Water Conference that will be in United Arab Emirates in December. And of course, in particular, the interactive dialogue on water for cooperation. Future work and assessment building on insights from the ongoing, the 4th round of reporting under the Water Convention, and the Sustainable Development Goal Indicator 652, and what I already mentioned from the global workshop on the use of new technologies and innovation for monitoring, assessment, and data sharing in transboundary basin. So that's the second objective. Future work, very important also to think the coming years to come. We will come back to that later. Moreover, the implementation of activities in monitoring, assessment, and data sharing under the convention during this period of work, 25-26, and based on the outcomes and discussions from the workshop we had for the last 2 days, there is an ongoing preparation for the publication on the policy guidance note for conjunctive water management in transboundary basins. Sorry, that is an ad hoc working group working on that. We will hear also the current status of that. I would also like to mention that the current meeting is the last meeting of our working group on monitoring and assessment that is not held jointly with the working group on integrated water resources management. So it's the last hour meeting where we can focus particularly on the topics and future of the working group on monitoring and assessment. So following that, next year, there will already be the next meeting of the parties, and there the next program of work will be decided. So this meeting provides us a good opportunity informally reflect and gather initial ideas for possible future activities in order to support the monitoring, assessment, and information sharing in transboundary basins under the framework of the Water Convention. And also for the development of the future work program. So that's very crucial for all of us to think what is needed in the next period from 2028, 2030. So in order to facilitate this brainstorming, you are invited to share ideas in writing on the flip charts. They are placed near the entrances here in the meeting hall. So please write your ideas for the future program and reflect the future activities more broadly even under the relevant agenda items. I think we need to go, the next issue is that the working languages of the meeting will be Arabic, Chinese, English, French, Russian, and Spanish. And the meeting will be broadcasted on the UN web television, but no interventions are possible online. And the recordings of the meeting can be accessed on the UN web television after the meeting. All relevant documentation are available on the dedicated page of the Water Convention website that you have probably already explored. And the participant who wish to make a statement, intervention from the floor should raise your flag. So please raising the nameplates to request the floor from the chair. And please, you are requested to limit the length of your interventions in maximum on 2 minutes. Full statements on preparation provided by the Secretariat can be posted on the meeting webpage. I'm just noting that the objectives of the working group meeting were already highlighted behind me previously. So let's go on from that. I think they are also well stated in the agenda and for the background documents of this meeting. Okay. And with this, I would like to invite all the participants of the working group to adopt the agenda. Is there anyone who would like to make any other issues or corrections to the agenda, something that might have been forgotten? I don't see any flags raised for this, so thus I think we can adopt the agenda. Oh, there's one. Yes, please. Central African Republic.
Bonjour à tous.
Good morning to one and all. I'm Jean-Christophe Robombe. I'm the focal point, national focal point for the UN Convention, the UN Water Convention. Also presiding the Interministerial Committee on the convention. I wanted to take the floor on the UN Water Conference in Abu Dhabi specifically. I'd like to explain the steps that the CR has taken since 2019. The government, the administration, has taken up the responsibility of accession and ratification to the convention. Naming a focal point, myself in this case, also putting together a steering committee which guides the whole sector. The idea is to have a platform that allows for us to work on convention matters, to collect data, and to share that with the partners. Today we have two programs on the table. We will be holding a workshop with the whole sector to analyze the benefits and interests involved with this. In September, we'll be organizing this national workshop, again with the state, parliament, territorial organizations as well, in order to seek some ownership of the convention. The idea being to transmit to the Council of Ministers our thoughts on it. So for us, we are trying to present this process, which began in 2019, to all the stakeholders, and we reiterated our commitment on 10 March 2026 to this process so that this process can be launched. So in September, again, we will be holding this national workshop. This will allow for us at the Abu Dhabi conference to show up with a legal document from the Council of Ministers that validates the convention and that has this translate into work in the parliament. So CAR, between now and the end of 2026, we will have been able to accomplish the ratification of the convention, the UN Water Convention, that is. I thank you kindly.
Yes, thank you very much for the intervention. I think you can come back to this under agenda item 5 because you are in accession of the convention. So that is the agenda point where we can discuss the issues related to accession as well. And what is your status in ratification as well as the plan. So I'm welcoming you there to take also the floor under the agenda item 5. But thank you very much. So now we can, I think with this, we can continue with the adoption of the agenda, right? Yes, okay, thank you very much. We are adopting the agenda. Okay, so the working group adopted the agenda. Clock. Right. With this, I would like to invite Francesca Bernardini from the Secretariat to provide a short update of the effect of the UN 80 to the Water Convention Secretariat. Please, Francesca.
Thank you very much, Anastina, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. For those who do not know me, I'm Francesca Bernardini. I'm head of the section in the UNEC, which includes the Secretary of the Water Convention. And to start, before starting, I would like to warmly thank, I think on behalf of all delegates, Finland, for the beautiful reception yesterday. It was a very magical moment. It was not only pleasant, but it was also very useful. I had a lot of very interesting discussion, and you even arranged for the sun. So congratulations. Thanks a lot, really. So from the Secretariat side, we felt that it was important for delegates to have also a background information on resources, because as you know, nothing is possible without money. And therefore, I would like to start, before moving to the UN 80 and the UN discussion, I would like to start by thanking again the EU for the financial support for the workshop, and also to the partner organization, the World Bank and IW Learn, which chip in with some travel support. We had an overwhelming request and interest in the workshop, so it was great to have partners chipping in. So thanks a lot. But this voluntary contribution alone could never sustain the work under the convention. So you might know that part of the convention relies on the UN regular budget. And as you also might know, the UN regular budget at the moment is under stress, so to say. The Secretary General last year launched the so-called UN 80 process, so linked to the 80 years of the organization, focusing on several issues, efficiency, and in particular budget cuts. So last year was a very painful year in terms of all organizations had to propose cuts to their budget, and at the end of the year, the General Assembly approved a reduction of a 15% cut of the whole UN budget. And obviously UNEC, as part of the UN system, was also affected. And our budget for 2026 has been cut of about 14% compared to the budget we had in 2025. And this corresponds to posts, and 26 posts were abolished in the whole organization. And unfortunately, among those posts, one post in the Water Convention Secretariat was cut. So the support from the regular budget of the UN to the Water Convention Secretariat decreased from 2.5 to 1.5 posts, which is a lot, look, relatively considering how essential but limited is such a regular budget support. And obviously that position is needed to support the work under the convention. So we are now using voluntary contribution to cover the cost of that post. So this is the news, the bad news that you read on the newspaper on the state of the UN financing and the UN. An incredible news, and a very positive news in this framework of budget cut was that at the same time, the General Assembly, the committee responsible for its budget, adopted a decision to increase the budget for conference services to support the multilingualism under the Water Convention. So as you might remember, that the meeting of the party in October 2024 made an express request to the Secretary General to ensure that all meeting and documentation under the Water Convention are available in 6 languages, reflecting the global nature of the convention. And despite the very difficult budget discussion last year, this decision to increase that budget was approved. And many of the countries present here in this room played a key role to make sure that this budgetary increase was adopted. So really wholehearted thank from the Secretariat. And we are leaving today the first Water Convention meeting in which we have the 6 languages from the UN regular budget. It's a fantastic achievement. Really, thanks a lot for that. Yes, applause. I think it's worth it. At the same time, and sorry, I would have liked to finish on a positive news, but unfortunately, we all know the situation, the financial situation is still very uncertain. And we also already got some indication from the Conference Service Division that their budgetary constraints are such that they are not able to confirm at the moment that all Water Convention meetings this year will be able, that they will be able to provide 6 language interpretation and translation for all of them. So we're still in a very, very uncertain situation. And this makes the discussion that we had on Monday under the ad hoc working group on sustainable financing even more important. As you know, another very important decision of the meeting of the party in October 2024 was to tackle this issue of sustainability of finance of the convention. And I must say that under the very, very wise and strategic leadership of Slovenia and Cameroon, this group is making a lot of progress. Discussions are very advanced, and the situation is promising. At the same time, we see that not all parties are participating in this discussion, and therefore I use this opportunity to encourage those parties which are not to please join the group, because this is a key for the future of the convention. Thank you very much.
What's going on? Thank you very much, Francesca, for informing us about the financial situation. And definitely it was a great achievement that this decision on translation of the languages was obtained last summer. So big congratulations for the Secretariat and of course all the parties that were supporting this to happen. So this makes even wider globalization and of course understanding the discussions and outcomes of the Water Convention even more global. But at the same time, of course, remembering the problems with the sustainable financing. So really, as Francesca from the Secretariat was already stating, we really wish that all the members or parties, members of the convention could join the discussions and the working group on sustainable financing or ad hoc group of the sustainable financing, because there we really need to think how these activities will be financed in the continuation in the future. So thank you very much for this, Francesca. We will come back to that in the subsequent meetings as well. Okay, with this, I would like to move to agenda item 3, which is the adoption of the report of the previous meeting. So there is a documentation on the report of the working group on integrated water resources management and the working group on monitoring and assessment of the 6th joint meeting that was held in Geneva last autumn in October 2025. So with this, I would like to invite you to adopt this report. And if there is any objections or anything you would like to remark, please raise your flag. Otherwise, we will proceed with the adoption. You see the proposed decision on the background or in the screen behind us. So the proposed decision, the working group adopted the report of the working group on integrated water resources management and the working group on monitoring and assessment of their 6th joint meeting. With no objections, I would like to adopt this report. Decided. Thank you. And that's available, of course, in the web. So with this, we move to the next agenda item, which is the recent developments related to monitoring, assessment, and data sharing in transboundary basins. And with this, I would like to invite Lilit Abrahamian from Armenia and Nika Kotashvili from Georgia to inform of the recent memorandum of understanding on the grammar debate. And there will be a celebration as a photo will be taken with the country representatives and flags to celebrate. So please, could you come here to the podium? Okay, great. Please, the floor is yours.
Доброе утро, дорогие коллеги.
So, good morning, colleagues. First of all, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak today. I'd like to start by offering my gratitude to the Secretariat of the UN Water Commission. Thank you for the assistance facilitating my participation in the two-day seminar, but also in each of the events under the UN Water Convention. I would like this morning to share our recent successful experience of managing and strengthening partnership relations and cooperation with a neighboring country, Georgia, in monitoring transboundary water resources and participating in a global dialogue on cooperation issues in the area of transboundary water resources. Over the past decades, Armenian and Georgian experts have conducted many consultations and field exercises on assessing and monitoring transboundary water resources in the Crimea and Debed river basins. This has been partly with support from the European Union Environmental Protection Agency, and also initiatives and efforts that preceded this in data management. In 2022 and 2023, we received support for joint field measurements for rivers and water bodies, also assistance to aggregate the results of those surveys. As a result of the many years of work, finally, in 2025, the Armenian's Ministerial Center for Water Monitoring and Measuring and the corresponding agency in Georgia signed a memorandum on understanding in the area of partnership and cooperation on monitoring and the exchange of data in this area. The memorandum was signed as a part of a dialogue on water policy, which played a major role in both countries in transboundary water cooperation between our two countries. So this agreement was a major breakthrough in monitoring transboundary water resources in our two countries, and it stipulates standardization of methods for sampling, establishment of monitoring points, the exchange of data between our countries, and it's a major step forward in coordinating the efforts to preserve water resources by our two countries in cooperation. Both countries will receive a clearer understanding of the volumes and quality of water resources in the basins of these two rivers. This memorandum is a foundation for permanent and independent dialogue and cooperation. This will allow both countries to take justified, coordinated decisions in order to ensure sustainable management of water resources in the basin. We expect this memorandum to strengthen cooperation between the two countries and to facilitate boosting our 652 SDG implementation. And in conclusion, I would like to express particular gratitude to the UNECE for facilitation rendered in helping us execute this complex but extremely interesting process, as well as technical assistance for experts in our two countries who participated over recent years in this very important project. That concludes my presentation, and I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. Dear colleagues, good morning. It's a true pleasure to be here today and to share a significant milestone in our regional cooperation. The signing of Memorandum of Understanding on transboundary monitoring in Hamid-Debed River Basin is as a result of years of shared efforts, technical consultations, and genuine commitment between Georgia and Republic of Armenia. This achievement would not have been possible without steady support of the EU for Environment, Water Resources and Environmental Data Program. I want to express our sincere gratitude to all the partners involved in the consortium, the Environmental Agency of Austria, the Austrian Development Agency, the International Office for Water, the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, and United Nations Economic Commission of Europe for their continuous technical and institutional support. The Hamid-Debed River Basin is a vital shared resource for both Georgia and Republic of Armenia, providing water for ecosystems, agriculture, energy, and local communities. By formalizing our cooperation through this MOU, we are creating legal and institutional framework for joint monitoring, data exchange, and reporting on both surface and groundwater resources. The establishment of a dedicated working group will ensure regular collaboration, continuous improvement of monitoring procedures, and the integration of scientific evidence into decision-making process. For Georgia, this cooperation is especially timely as the country is fully implementing the river basin management system in line with EU principles and advancing an ambitious water sector reform aimed at improving governance, ensuring sustainable water use, and enhancing climate resilience. Working together with our neighbors not only improves the quality and reliability of shared water data, but also builds trust, reduces risks, supports sustainable development, and contributes to long-term stability in the region. The agreement also brings us closer to our global commitments. It directly strengthens our ability to report on SDG indicator 6.5.1 and 6.5.2, which is related to proportion of transboundary basin areas with the operational arrangement for water cooperation, proving that integrated water resources management is most effective when it crosses borders. In closing, Georgia reaffirms its commitment to evidence-based governance and cross-border partnership. We look forward to the practical work ahead with our Armenian colleagues and international partners to ensure this agreement translates into lasting benefits for both people and nature. I want to thank every expert and colleague who dedicated their time and knowledge to make this Memorandum of Understanding a reality. Many thanks.
Thank you very much for this very encouraging occasion and achievement of your memorandum and your collaboration. It is very encouraging for whole our community, what achievements there can be also for joining for common agreements for under the river basins. I was looking at the photos, and thanks for showing those as well. It seemed that you even had the joint monitoring. Was that correct, or were there on some of the sites? Yes, okay. Yeah, that's very good. So that intercalibration and joint monitoring already going on. Fantastic. Should we go for the celebration now, or to taking the photos? So please. So one of the follow-up of this, we will make a small celebration and taking the photos of the flag to celebrate. So you can all join this moment of achievement together with us. Yes, thank you very much. These are the moments that cherish our collaboration and work under the Water Convention. So very nice to start the meeting with such a celebration. And next, I would like to invite Landing Bojang from the Guinea-Bissau to inform of the developments. Gambia. Oh, sorry. Yes. From Gambia. To inform about the developments to supporting transboundary cooperation in this Senegal-Mauritanian aquifer basin. Please, Bojang.
Thank you, Chair. I have the pleasure on behalf of the Regional Working Group of the Senegal-Mauritanian aquifer basin to express our sincere appreciation to the Water Convention Secretariat and all the partners for the excellent coordination and support throughout the process of the negotiation of the draft agreement. National workshops were held in all the countries between July and November. And then a regional consolidation workshop was convened in January alongside the preparatory meeting of the next UN Water Conference. I have the pleasure to inform this August gathering that an agreed text, consolidated text is being finalized to be presented to the ministers before the signing ceremony in December. So it's a pleasure for us to express that the negotiation was done with in good faith, and then most of the disagreements were handled with the spirit of good faith and then and cooperation. On this note, I would like to thank the Professor McCain of the Implementation Committee of the Water Convention for his dedication and support throughout the process. Thanks so much.
Microphone to the speaker, please.
Okay, is there any other interventions? I see Cameroon and then Ukraine, and also Republic of Moldova and the Central African Republic. Okay, now I have to make notes.
Thank you, Co-Chair. I have two questions. Please, first of all, I would like to know if before the signature of this MOU, there was no institutional or legal framework between the two countries. And I'm talking about Georgia and Armenia. The second question is addressed to the colleague of Georgia. What do you mean by proof, scientific proof for cooperation? I didn't understand very well what you mean by that. Thank you.
Would you like to answer to that right away?
Thank you, thank you for the questions. I can start answering by from the second question. So for us, scientific proof mostly is connected to the reliable source of information in order to plan river-based management system and to ensure that our data is correct, because in our case, river basin management system, which is our management component, needs reliable sources and information which truly and precisely says concrete information about concrete river and concrete pollution, if there is any, and etc. Yes. Regarding the first question, you emphasized previous cooperation. So our countries are cooperating within different formats. So before this official memorandum of understanding, our format was within the different programs and projects, and our cooperation was within the platforms and the framework of international partnership. Yes, thanks.
Thank you very much for the clarification of the collaboration and scientific basis. For that, very good indeed. I'm sure you can discuss also during the break if there's further information needed for the Cameroon. I think the next in asking for the floor was Ukraine, please.
Very much, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues. I want to briefly report the latest incident that took place in transboundary Dniester River basin. Russia's full-scale war against Ukraine is not only military aggression, it's a direct and serious threat to water security and the entire region and violation of basic human rights to clean water. On the 7th of March 2026, Russia launched another massive missiles and drone attack on Ukraine's energy infrastructure. Just 3 days later, on the 10th of March, oil-like spots with characteristic rainbow sheen appeared on the boundary section of Dniester River between Ukraine and Moldova. The nature and dynamics of this pollution were unusual and alarming. Ukrainian State Emergency Service immediately deployed 10 lines of floating booms, including on the shared section with Moldova, to prevent the pollution from spreading further downstream. Under the Dniester Agreement, we promptly informed our Moldovan colleagues. Following the emergency meeting on the Dniester Commission, Ukraine and Moldova conducted joint water sampling. Laboratory analysis in both countries produced identical results. Petroleum products were detected and barium concentration exceeded environmental safety standards by up to 6 times. Barium had never been recorded in Dniester before. At the same time, pollution was also registered in the lower reaches on the river in Odessa region, where debris from a Russian drone fell directly near and drinking water intake of Odessa, a city with 1 million residents. As a country at war, Ukraine continues to address these unprecedented environmental challenges largely on its own, even though their consequences immediately become transboundary. Unfortunately, our water monitoring laboratories do not always have the capacity to rapidly identify all pollutants that enter water bodies as a result of military action. We are sincerely grateful to Jeff, UNDP, OSCE, Dniester Project, and the Water Convention Secretariat for their constant support, including the possibility to analyzing samples in European laboratories. This cooperation saves time and protects people's lives. Ukraine remains fully committed to the principle of Water Convention and will continue active work with the Dniester Commission. We count on the continued support of the projects and all partners to strengthen monitoring, modernizing laboratories, and protecting transboundary river basin from the consequences of war. Clean water knows no border, and peace remains the best environment policy. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much for the information. And next, requesting the floor is Moldova.
Chair, distinguished delegates, I appreciate the opportunity to address this meeting and to share recent developments concerning the Dniester River Basin, a transboundary watercourse of strategic importance for both the Republic of Moldova and Ukraine. In March 2026, our region faced a serious environmental emergency following the military attack carried out by the Russian Federation against the Novodnestrovsk hydropower complex in Ukraine. As a result of damage caused to technical infrastructure, significant quantities of petroleum products were discharged into the Dniester River, creating immediate risks for water quality, aquatic ecosystems, and drinking water supply systems downstream. From the very first days of the crisis, cooperation between the Republic of Moldova and Ukraine was close, constructive, and continuous. On 12th of March, an urgent meeting of the Dniester Commission was convened in online format, where both sides exchanged information, assessed the scale of pollution, and agreed on coordinated response measures aimed at containing and mitigating the contamination. This cooperation continued through bilateral institutional contacts and direct communication channels, allowing both countries to react in a timely and responsive manner. The exchange of information proved essential for protecting downstream communities and ensuring evidence-based decisions during a rapidly evolving emergency. At national level, the Republic of Moldova mobilized all competent institutions, including environmental authorities, water management agencies, and emergency services. Continuous water sampling was conducted at multiple monitoring points, while intervention teams worked to prevent polluted masses from reaching major drinking water intakes. On 13th of March, the Republic of Moldova requested the activation of the European Union Civil Protection Mechanism, through which valuable support was received from several international partners. We express our deepest appreciation to Romania, which reacted promptly and provided immediate operational assistance, technical expertise, and on-site support that helped considerably in mitigating the effects of the crisis. We also extend our sincere gratitude to Poland, Slovakia, the United Kingdom, Belgium, Luxembourg, and Germany for the equipment generously provided through donations. These contributions significantly strengthened the effective management of the crisis and will continue to enhance our preparedness and capacity to prevent and respond to similar emergencies in the future. As a result of these coordinated efforts nationally, bilaterally with Ukraine, and internationally, we managed to substantially reduce immediate risks and protect key water supply infrastructure. At present, monitoring data indicate gradual improvement of water quality conditions. Nevertheless, continued ecological assessment remains necessary to determine possible medium and long-term impacts on aquatic ecosystems. This incident clearly demonstrated that transboundary waters require not only long-term cooperation frameworks, but also rapid communication systems, mutual trust, and operational solidarity in times of crisis. The Republic of Moldova remains firmly committed to strengthening cooperation with Ukraine under the Water Convention and within the framework of the Dniester Commission, including in the areas of joint monitoring, early warning systems, emergency preparedness, and sustainable river basin management. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the information provided. Next, there's an intervention by Kiske. OSC.
Much, Chair, for giving me the floor. This is just to react to the statements of the colleagues from Ukraine and the Republic of Moldova. And with this, I would like to confirm indeed that on the 19th and 20th of March 2026, the OEC, as the executing agency of the GEF funded UNDP OEC project on the Dniester River Basin, we have received official requests from both countries, from Ukraine and the Republic of Moldova, with the request for collection and transport of samples, comprehensive laboratory analysis, identification of pollutants and concentrations, as well as a targeted and non-targeted pollutant screening to be performed within an EU-based laboratory. As a consequence of that, we have reached out to a number of EU countries with the kind support of UNEC colleagues, and we are thankful for that. And we have identified a laboratory based in Slovakia that was ready to perform all the analysis indicated. We have informed the two countries on this result, and I'm happy to say that within the framework of the project that we have had the pleasure to present yesterday, we continue to stand ready to support the two countries in such efforts, but also mostly with the implementation of project activities. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the information. And next, there is an intervention by the European Union.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning. The EU would also like to react to the information shared by Ukraine and Moldova. The EU and its member states would like to reiterate the resolute condemnation of Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine, which constitutes a manifest violation of the UN Charter, and we reaffirm our continued and unwavering support of Ukraine's independence, sovereignty, and territorial integrity within its international recognized borders. We are painfully aware of the negative consequences this conflict is having, not only on lives and livelihoods of people, but also on the environment. The damage of the war has led to a significant reduction in water reserves and contamination of water sources. This poses a serious threat to public health, increasing the risk of waterborne diseases and compromising access to safe drinking water. We underscore the need to reach as soon as possible a comprehensive, just, and lasting peace in Ukraine, in full respect of Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity, based on the principles of the Charter of the United Nations. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, European Union. I don't see any further interventions. So somebody is called. Oh, okay. Yes, Russian Federation, please.
Благодарю вас, госпожа председатель.
Thank you very much, Chair. The Russian Federation would like to exercise its right to reply following the statements that we've heard by the representative of Ukraine, Moldova, and the European Union. We reject the accusations against us. with respect to pollution of the Dniester River. We note that there is no proof that our country was associated with the supposed pollution. The type and volume of pollutant is absent in the information presented. The information presented by Moldova is vague. It's clearly that Chisinau and Kiev have clearly political goals in blaming the Russian Federation. This is very politicized. We have not heard today any new information or evidence. As regards the accusations brought by the European Union, we would like to note that the situation is very far from being unambiguous. The pollution that was caused by the Russian Federation and continues to be caused by the Ukrainian armed forces is something we continue to track. However, colleagues prefer to focus just on one side of the situation. In conclusion, this group is an expert body, Madam Chair. It should not be engaged in unilateral accusations against any countries. More than that, this question is not covered by our agenda. I would call on you, Madam Chair, to interdict attempts to initiate such discussions in this forum. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your intervention. I think that we will continue. We don't see any more flags on the floor. So with your information, Ukraine, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just taking the floor in exercise of the right of reply. Russia is once again attempting to shift attention from the root cause to selected consequences. There can be no equivalence between the systematic, large-scale and year-long destruction caused by the aggressor, resulting in grave human suffering and severe transboundary environmental damage, and efforts aimed at bringing this war to an end. As the aggressor state, Russia bears international responsibility for the consequences of its unlawful use of force. If Russia now claims concern about environmental consequences, the most effective way to address them is to stop its unprovoked and unjustified aggression against Ukraine. Madam Chair, I thank you.
Thank you for the intervention. I suggest that with this, we will continue the agenda. So with this, we will move to agenda item, proposed decision. Proposed decision is that the working group expressed its appreciation for the progress made in development new agreements and on monitoring, assessment and data sharing in transboundary basins, as we heard in the beginning of this session. And with this, I would like to invite you to accept this decision. No objections. So now we can move on for the agenda item 5. And that will include a strategic discussion on transboundary water cooperation, including monitoring, assessment and data sharing at the 2025 United Nations Water Conference. And for us, information on this item will be provided by my colleague Bakary Fati from Senegal, who is the co-host of the 2026 UN Water Conference, to provide a brief update of the preparations and to include the key outcomes on the high-level preparatory meeting that had taken place in Dakar earlier in January this year. So please, Bakari.
Thank you very much, Anna, for giving me the floor. Je vous remercie. Donc, je prends la parole ce matin en tant que...
I'm very happy to take the floor this morning representing a key country at the United Nations, working also with the UAE. And I'm very happy to share some information with you on the preparations, but also the results of the priority meeting in Dakar for January. So there's already preparations underway, which are rapid and focused on action. You'll agree with me that the 2026 United Nations Conference comes at a time where achieving SDG 6 remains heavily jeopardized, requiring a systematic acceleration of our efforts. Major progress has been achieved. The effective launching of the co-chairs' efforts on the 6 topics and interactive dialogue are crucial steps. We are working in a very structured way, focused on key results and actions. Organization of a ministerial meeting of the co-chair countries makes it possible to clearly lay out the expectations and hopes for policies. This leads to major progress, we believe, and we are moving to a new logic of co-construction of measurable expectations. In terms of results of the high-level priority meeting in Dakar, we think the meeting was strategically important. In terms of substance, content, and political components, the preparatory meeting was extremely important. And we saw an exceptional mobilization of stakeholders around a number of structural initiatives. The National Workshop for Mobilization made it possible to align all of the Senegalese stakeholders and to present a united national voice, also focused on partnership around water and leadership by women, as well as participation by young people in water governance. Active mobilization of young people and civil society helps us move towards local grassroots solutions initiatives. And a day for open dialogue with stakeholders on governance, funding, and partnership was an approach which made it possible to lay the framework for truly active, dynamic cooperation. At the highest level, we want to send a strong political message, and this was made possible by the presence of the president, who sent a clear and strong message. First, acceleration of investment in the sector, move to measurable results, and reinforce multilateral cooperation, positioning water as a strategic priority on a global level. And so this political leadership supported and strengthened the preparatory meeting in Dakar. Moving on to accountability around results and strategic interactive dialogues, the work in Dakar made it possible to consolidate systemic dialogue for the population, for prosperity, for the planet itself, for cooperation, and in multilateral processes more broadly, as well as general investment in water. the co-chairs working with the states and stakeholders, identify the priorities for each of the dialogues, the transformative approach that's needed to bring together political and technical requirements. Turning to the third aspect of accountability and measuring the results of the high-level meeting in Dakar, we can note that discussions made it possible to identify and explore deeply key issues such as transboundary cooperation as a lever for greater stability, climate adaptation, and above all, funding of the sector identified as the key bottleneck. This must be underscored. The launching of the Up-Committee made it possible to anchor the scientific approach supporting decision-making, bringing together researchers and policymakers. As a result, I'm happy to tell you that we achieved strategic progress at the Dakar meeting, which allowed us to build a shared vision of global priorities to structure the dialogue and the results that we hope for, and to align political will around SDG 6 in a multi-stakeholder approach. This also made it possible to validate the Dakar roadmap involving the UAE at Abu Dhabi, where the process will be guided until December of 2026. And so, Madam Chair, that was the essence of my presentation on the preparatory work and the results of the Dakar preparatory meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup, Bakary, for this information concerning the preparations for the UN Water Conference, as well as the outcomes, the messages from the preparatory meeting in Dakar. So with this, I would like to invite next Finland and Zambia, as well as France, here to the podium to inform about their plan as in their role as co-chairs for the interactive dialogue for water cooperation, namely Finland and Zambia, and France as a co-chair for the interactive dialogue F, investments for water. So please, you can join us here now, inform us. Okay, thank you. As we are all seated, so please, Finland and Zambia, please inform of the recent updates and plans for the interactive dialogue on water for cooperation, including the proposed flagship initiatives. Please.
Thank you so much, Chair, and a good morning to everyone here. In regards to the background and objectives, Zambia was nominated to co-chair. Zambia was nominated as co-chair of the Interactive Dialogue D, Water for Cooperation, alongside Finland by the co-hosts Senegal and the UAE this year in January 2026. This is a unique north to south partnership demonstrating the rules that are rules-based transboundary water governance benefits all economies regardless of the development stage. Zambia is committed to co-chair at head state level, and a work plan has been developed with 25 key partner organizations across Africa, Europe, and globally. The objectives of the interactive dialogue are the following. During the preparatory meeting in Dakar, Senegal, this year in January, a roundtable discussion on water for cooperation had established that water cooperation is a political and institutional necessity for peace, climate resilience, and global stability. The focus is on implementation of commitments and tangible improvements on the ground is strived for. The conference enables us to showcase pertinent examples of the benefits of cooperation as well as present progress in cooperation. For example, the inclusion of the signing of new agreements on shared waters or updating existing ones. The conference provides crucial opportunity to promote the global UN Water Conventions, their principles and applications. New accessions to the Global Water Conventions could be celebrated with possibly a treaty event, a statement of accession and intentions. Under the progress that we have achieved so far since our nomination in January this year, we have made strong progress in shaping a structured, inclusive, and result-oriented dialogue. Firstly, we have established a clear roadmap from Dakar, that is January this year, to UAE in December later on this year, anchored on 4 strategic priorities. Number 1, strengthening legal and institutional frameworks for transboundary and international water cooperation, shared knowledge as a bridge for trust, effective inclusion in water management cooperation, including leadership, integration across policies, and cooperation across sectors. Secondly, we have ensured a broad ownership of this process. That is, over 25 global and regional partners are effectively engaged, and consultations are being conducted across Africa, Asia, Europe, and Latin America. For example, the Dushanbe Water Conference, the INBO World Summit, and African Union All Systems Summit, Stockholm World Water Week, and the HLOPF, UN General Assembly, and Water Convention meetings, etc., etc. We've also been having a lot of thematic online consultations that we've had and that have been planned. Now hand over to our co-chair.
Thank you, Amvesi, and good afternoon. Good morning also on my behalf. The co-hosts have asked the co-chairs to come up with, throughout the preparatory process and including active consultations of stakeholders, to come up with flagship initiatives that could be launched at the conference. And the initiatives shall bring together diverse stakeholders, be transformational, innovative, and scalable, build upon and strengthen existing efforts, and create impact beyond the conference. And as co-chairs, we have, in consultation with our key partners, we have identified some seeds for flagship initiatives to be launched at the conference, and these will be further developed during the year in the consultations that are being planned. And as transboundary cooperation is at the heart of this dialogue, this is also kind of a red line throughout the different flagship initiatives. As our ambassador yesterday mentioned already at the reception, the boldly titled 100 Parties Initiative is the first flagship we propose, and with the aim of organizing a treaty event at the water conference and having new parties acceding to the convention before or at the conference, and celebrate that in Abu Dhabi in December. And in addition to that, we are preparing a declaration of intent to accede to the convention for those countries who are in the process of acceding, who are considering to starting the process of acceding to the convention, and but are maybe not yet ready to accede this year. And we see this initiative very important for the future of the convention and the future of the transboundary cooperation. Now at the UN conference, it would be a good moment for accelerating the impact on transboundary cooperation. And we call for all member states to consider acceding to the convention, or parties of the convention to support those countries who are already in the process of acceding. In addition to the 100 Parties Initiative, we also have ideas for other flagships, focusing more on the cooperation on the ground. For example, targeting new and renewed basin arrangement and agreements could be joint data sharing protocols, for example, launch of new and celebrating the progress of peer-to-peer and twinning arrangements between basins or countries, joint monitoring and data sharing. The work that has been done here today, or yesterday and the day before, on the new technologies, for example, is a knowledge product that could be celebrated at the conference, and showcasing initiative of and good practice for financing for river basin organizations, for example. Regarding the other aspects of the dialogue, also we are seeking for improving the science policy integration for water governance. And here again, I think the discussions yesterday and day before already touched upon very concretely the need for improving the integration of science and policy, and how the new technologies can be utilized with this regard. And then we are also striving for the water, energy, food and ecosystems nexus approach, also including with the private sector, through their water stewardship action and throughout the value chains of the goods and products that we all are using. And finally, but not least, also we are advocating for inclusive governance and ensuring meaningful participation of youth, women, indigenous peoples, and so on. And this all we do with our partners, and I also recognize that many of these initiatives are cross-cutting with other interactive dialogues as well. So we also look to work together with the other co-chairs. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Gambia, Finland and Zambia, for your information. So definitely hope that the flagship initiatives will move forward, and of course inviting all of you to support those. Next, we will have an information on the interactive dialogue F, investments for water. And please, Fanny, please inform us the plans of France with respect of this.
Merci, Madame la Co-Présidente.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. I appreciate this opportunity to present the work undertaken by France with South Africa. I am delighted to co-preside with them the preparations for this interactive dialogue on the issue of investments for water financing technologies, innovation, and capacity building. This topic is naturally seen as a cross-cutting issue to tackle global challenges in water and is a facilitating factor for the 5 interactive dialogues. The conference, the first preparatory exchange happened in Dakar. This allowed for us to put forth key pillars on which France and South Africa are leaning to prepare this process. The first issue is the urgency of translating political ambition into concrete country-driven investment pathways, particularly in regions facing structural financing gaps and high climate vulnerability. Secondly, we need to advance international cooperation, coordination among partners, and governance mechanisms that are conducive for investments and supporting innovative finance and other funding mechanisms, as well as we also have drafted a joint plan with South Africa in order to undertake multi-stakeholder consultations pointing at 2026, looking at the milestones. We use this platform to mobilize initiatives on our flagship opportunities to bring about still fragmented governance, and to provide resources, input rather, for decision-making where there's limited capacity. The first consultations allowed for us to identify existing initiatives and potentials for scalability, and they can be presented later. The first is the creation of a roadmap for our own priorities for sustainable development for water across sectors, and to promote investment systems for the long run. Numerous initiatives were presented, for example, that for the National Fund for the cross-border water initiatives. We also are seeking to link the water policies to development policies, the National Water Compact, for example, and World Bank projects as well. These initiatives from heads of state, for example, sanitation and water for all, among others. We also are focusing on the importance of supporting capacity building and partnerships with key initiatives such as the capacity SDG 6 Capacity Development Initiative, UNESCO and UNITAR. And then there's the need to mobilize public-private partnerships and to give priority to innovative practices, mixed financing, risks, debt, etc. The work undertaken by the Water Convention can nourish many of these areas, and we're pleased about this. For among the priorities and integrated governance, it is crucial that there be investments in water, and there's useful work being done in joint management, the benefit from cross-border initiatives for follow-up and monitoring evaluation. Also, the innovation, technology, capacity building, the interactive dialogue can benefit the exchanges that have been happened yesterday and today as well. Also, looking at this interactive dialogue, we're going to continue our exchanges, our preparatory exchanges, and we encourage the actors to put forth examples in the working group and in the UN Convention, so that cooperation on cross-border water can facilitate our work. I thank you very kindly. The interpreters would remind the speakers to speak at a pace that lends itself to proper interpretation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fanny and France, for this information provided. Very crucial financing issues for the water in general, and also, of course, for the topics we have discussed during the last 2 days, the monitoring and assessment, and innovative tools and technologies to enable to do this proper water allocation decisions. By the way, the interpreters also mentioned that speak slower so they can provide a better interpretation of your messages. So there's no hurry. Let's take the time we need. Next to me is Sonia Kappel, Secretary to the Water Convention, and Sonia will also inform us about the recent developments related to the UN Water Conference preparations by the Water Convention. Please, Sonia.
Thank you very much, and good morning. Obviously, the whole United Nations system is mobilized to support the preparations for the UN Water Conference. While the conference secretariat is provided by UN Delta, the Department for Economic and Social Affairs in New York. But in the framework of UN Water, many UN agencies are very much engaged in the preparations, including we as Water Convention Secretariat. So, for example, we contributed heavily to the high-level preparatory conference for the United Nations Water Conference, which was held in Dakar. And congratulations to Senegal for the successful meeting, which Bakary also summarized. Then, in the last few weeks, happened regional consultations to prepare for the UN Water Conference. They were organized by the regional economic commissions of the United Nations and were often combined with the regional fora for sustainable development, which, for example, in our region, for the UNICE region, was held on 21st to 22nd of April in Geneva, and we organized there a roundtable on SDG 6 progress, which served as at the same time as a preparatory event for the Pan-European region for the UN Water Conference. Several of you were there. And similar events were held, for example, last week in Addis for the Africa region, or in the middle of April in Santiago de Chile for the Latin America region. And ESCAP, so the Economic Commission and Social Commission for Asia Pacific, will organize a regional consultation for the Asia Pacific region on 25 May in Dushanbe. All the outcomes of those consultations are feeding into the documents which we are preparing from the United Nations system. For example, the concept papers for the interactive dialogue. So for each of the 6 interactive dialogues at the UN Water Conference, 2 or 3 UN agencies have been designated as co-conveners to prepare the concept papers in cooperation with a so-called informal preparatory working group. And we, UNESCO and UNECE, we have been designated to support the preparations for the interactive dialogue D on water for cooperation. So we are currently in the process of finalizing a first zero draft of this document to be submitted next week, so that it can be ready for the next big preparatory meeting, which will be the Dushanbe Water Conference, to be held on 25 to 27 of May in Dushanbe, Tajikistan. Then another important milestone on the way to the United Nations Water Conference is the High-Level Political Forum in New York in July. It will happen between the 7th and 15th of July, but the most important is the first week, namely 7th of July, which is the date when SDG 6 will be officially under review. So there will be an official session reviewing the status of implementation of SDG 6, followed by a special event on SDG 6 organized by UN Water in the afternoon of that day, where the United Nations system will also launch SDG 6 synthesis report on water and sanitation as an input from the UN system, reviewing the status of implementation of SDG 6 and providing some recommendations on how to accelerate in order to achieve, hopefully, SDG 6 by 2030. Since water will be one of the main topics of the HLPF, many other events, side events and others related to water will happen in New York. So maybe some of you are planning to travel there, or your countries will be represented, and we would like to encourage you then to take part actively and again promote the importance of transboundary water cooperation and the Water Convention at this occasion as well, because it's very important to highlight it also in the diplomatic circles in New York. And then there will be still other events, obviously, in the coming months at different levels, at global and regional levels, up to the UN Water Conference to be held now according to the new dates on 8 to 10 of December in UAE of this year. So on the next slide, you can see a short summary of how we are engaged as a Water Convention Secretariat. As I already mentioned, we are co-convener with UNESCO of this IPWG on water for cooperation, which is preparing the concept paper for the interactive dialogue. Then we are really trying to inform and mobilize countries in advance of the UN Water Conference to ensure high-level participation at the conference, but most importantly, ensure also concrete outcomes, concrete commitments at the conference through a session like this year at this working group, or at the upcoming working group in IWM under the Water Convention in October. And we are also mobilizing the Transboundary Water Cooperation Coalition in this sense, for example. And as mentioned by the co-chairs, really the most important, and also by the co-host, is to have some concrete outcomes, advancing the water agenda, and advancing implementation of water-related issues on the ground at the UN Water Conference. And in our case, related to our topic of transboundary cooperation, we really hope to have new accessions by the time of the UN Water Conference or before, for example, through a possible treaty event or other high-level events at the Water Conference. We think it would be a very positive sign if several transboundary agreements could be signed at the conference. And we know that some are in the process, and maybe some of you can even share, in order to show that concretely transboundary water cooperation is moving, is showing concrete steps forward, and is having positive impacts beyond water itself. And then certainly, apart from this, we as a Water Convention Secretariat, we are also trying to contribute to other topics at the conference, not only on the interactive dialogue, the Water for Cooperation, but also other, basically most of the other interactive dialogues as well, through, on the one hand, thematic inputs such as with this policy brief on new technologies and innovation for monitoring and assessment, and data sharing, which was discussed yesterday, through engagements with partners, through side events and others. And we look forward also to partnering with some of you who are planning events or launching initiatives or others at the UN Water Conference. So finally, just to conclude, we stand ready to support you, and particularly those countries in the process of accession, and look forward to hearing from some of you maybe where you stand in this process. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sonja, for this information. So already and set to the road towards the conference, but all our work remains, I'm sure. So, well, now I would like to open the floor to discuss the plan concerning this UN Water Conference of the countries, including the plans of the countries on how to access the convention in the future. Slovenia, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Let me spare a few minutes of your precious time, of our precious time, on these very important topics we were just informed about by the colleagues from the panel. I believe that we all agree that the year 2026 is a very important year, not only for the Water Convention, but for all platforms which are doing for the water. We know this because we have experience from 2023, which was also the UN Water Conference year, and this year, 2026, is the year of the third conference of the UN Water, and in fact, third conference on water of United Nations. Now, on top of this, 2026 is not only the year of the Conference on Water of the United Nations. There are other major processes going on, like the Dushanbe process. And in all of these processes, of course, our interest, that is the interest of transboundary water cooperation, which is sovereignly covered by the Water Convention, should be present, promoted, and ensured and sustained. Therefore, I would, of course, fully support all the efforts of the colleagues from the panel and add to this that to go concretely to the UN Water Conference 2026, to the interactive dialogue Water for Cooperation, organized by Finland and Zambia, and by assistance of the Secretariat, to express my opinion that, in fact, the interactive dialogue for Water for Cooperation is, on one hand, a kind of a shelter for the Water Convention and its ideas, and vice versa. Water Convention, its ideas and mission is also a kind of a shelter or argument for the interactive dialogue for water cooperation. That means we are facing a symbiosis. Symbiosis in the preparation of a very important part of the message of this year's UN Water Conference. And we know that symbiosis can be transferred into synergy. And I'm glad to say that the synergy is in place already, and that we are, of course, fully supporting, speaking on behalf of the Bureau here, the efforts of Finland and Zambia. And if I may now wear my second hat today, as a representative of Slovenia, I would like to express full support of Slovenia to efforts of Finland and Zambia, and the will to cooperate in these efforts also in the coming days of high-level political, in coming days of the Dushanbe high-level water conference, and in the forthcoming high-level political forum in New York in July this year. At the end, I would like, again, as the chair of the Water Convention, give an appeal, a clear appeal to countries which are just before the accession, and the countries, as we say, who are in the waiting room and have maybe potential to do this, to make maximum effort to conclude the accession processes in the countries before the UN Water Conference 2026 in the beginning of December this year. This would have at least two very important impacts. The first is, of course, the importance and the power and the impact of the Water Convention, and the second is the full support of the in-depth ideas of the ID4. Remember that the interactive dialogues are not meant to be forgotten after the conference is finished. The interactive dialogues should be if I may say so, the lighthouses for the next triennium, and hopefully also further on, because we decided on topics, we selected the topics, and we believe that the selected topics are important for the global water governance and management. So again, dear representatives of the countries which are just to accede and which are in the waiting room, please pass the message of the Bureau of the Water Convention that your accession would be very welcome, and do as much as you can do to provide it before the conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Slovenia. And with this justification introduction you gave, we will actually move and ask for the intervention from the countries that are planning to join or are in the process. So thus I would give the floor to Benin, please. Yes, you are there. Benin.
Merci, Madame la Présidente.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and a good morning to everyone. Benin has commenced the process of acceding to the convention, and this was back in 2023. The process has followed the established ratification procedures for international conventions. The accession dossier has already gone through several stages, appearing before a number of commissions before being submitted to the Board of Ministers. Once we see ministerial adoption of the dossier, it will be reviewed at the General Assembly. Now, recently, the Law Commission approved the dossier, and now all that remains is for the deputies of the National Assembly to adopt it in plenary session. This is the penultimate stage of completing the national ratification procedure, which concludes with signature by the President of the Republic. We offer our gratitude to the Convention Secretariat, which has supported us by presenting vital documents to allow us to go through the appropriate procedures, which has meant that we were able to go through more or less in one pass without having to go back and correct the documents. And we look forward to the completion of this process, and we thank you for your support and accompaniment throughout this process, notably around deposition of the signed documents. And so that is where we stand in Benin. Thank you again.
Thank you very much for informing of this very encouraging news. It seems to be very well in process. Thanks a lot. And next, I would invite Democratic Republic of Congo to inform us about the process. Please.
Merci beaucoup pour.
Thank you very much for giving me the floor. I am Faustin de Gouty-Comont, representing the Environment, Sustainable Development and New Climate Economy Ministry of the DRC, and I am responsible for follow-up and assessment of hydrometeorological projects, and I work particularly in the Water Resources Department. I'm also the national focal point for the UN Water Convention. Now, my country, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, demonstrated its interest in acceding to the United Nations Convention starting way back in August of 2024. And by December of that year, we had organized our first national workshop, which was supported 100% by the National Commission. It's my opportunity now to thank the Secretariat for the support provided by the UN Water Convention. In May of 2025, we organized another workshop. This involved parliamentarians in our country because the goal was to prepare the ground in the parliament when the bill reaches the parliament. We want it to go through smoothly and quickly, and so this is why it was important. And together with the Secretariat of the Unity UN Water Convention, we organized this with the assistance of the GZ partnership. Currently, the entire dossier for accession to the UN Water Convention is at the level of the Prime Minister's office, and we are looking forward to adoption by the Cabinet of Ministers. So we're looking forward this to be handled by the Council of Ministers, because after that it can go to the Parliament. We have already proposed, or rather compiled, a roadmap with the ultimate goal of coming to the December UN Water Convention as full-fledged members. And so our roadmap is laid out with that objective in goal. By May of this year, we want to be able to work on the dossier such that it can already be accepted by the Cabinet of Ministers by the end of May, and then in June it will be transferred to the Parliament. In the Parliament, we already have a focal point who is one of the UN Water Convention focal points. The chair of the Senate's Environment Committee is one of our focal points, and he will be responsible for guiding the bill through Parliament. And after adoption in the Parliament, the National Assembly and the Senate, we hope that all of the accession instruments at the level of the DRC will complete the deposition procedures, so that 3 months later, in December, we will be recognized as members of the UN Water Convention. And so that, in a few words, is a presentation of the status quo in our country and how the accession process has evolved in my country for the UN Water Convention. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the information. You have certainly mobilized, and the process is well on track. So thank you very much. Looks very effective. Still, I would like to remind the participants that try to keep your intervention in 2 minutes. But thank you very much for the information. Next, I would like to invite Uganda to provide the information. Sorry, there was... Uganda, please.
Thank you very much for giving me the floor. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Madam Chair, I have an update on the accession process of Uganda. The document is currently at Cabinet, together with other documents on water requiring Cabinet approval. We have been told that they will be scheduled for discussion at once by June 2026. We hope to have accession completed by the end of the year during the water conference and be part of the 8 new parties to the convention at the conference. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you for the information. Looking forward for your process also. And yeah, we're taking the note. Next one, Malawi, please.
Thank you very much. In February of this year, 2026, Malawi convened the national workshop on the United Nations Water Convention. And this provided an important platform for dialogue and consensus building on Malawi's accession to the convention. And as a result, the deliberations confirmed that accession presents a significant opportunity for Malawi to strengthen transboundary water cooperation, enhance climate resilience, improve water governance, and align national frameworks with international best practices in the management of shared water resources. And as a result, I am pleased to announce that Malawi has also initiated the formal accession process. And through the responsible government institutions, the country is currently preparing the necessary instruments of accession, which upon completion, with the required national procedures, will be submitted to this for the signature of His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Malawi. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the information process in Malawi. And next, I would invite Central African Republic, please.
Merci. Thank you, Madam Chair. I am Jean-Christophe Roganbey, and I'm the National Focal Point and Chair of the Intersectoral Piloting Committee for the UN Water Convention in the CAR. Our country shares in its territory the Chad Basin and the Congo Basin, so two lake basins. We started the accession process in 2019 by naming a focal point. In 2020, the Environment Ministry drew up a letter of interest in membership in the convention, and in 2025 we put in place a intersectoral piloting committee with 17 members to work on the process of acceding to the convention. This committee brought together representatives of all the political bodies, including the presidency, the parliament, all ministries, as well as relevant organizations and agencies. On the 10th of March 2026, the CAR reiterated its interest through another letter of interest, transferred by the Foreign Ministry as a note verbal, indicating that work was active on the initiative, and now we wish to participate in the Abu Dhabi conference, and we have 3 different activities to work on before December. The first is to organize a workshop on approval of the UN Water Convention with all the parliamentary sectors to discuss the relevant issues and interests with respect to the various laws on the environment, water, pollution, and so forth in our country. That meeting, which we would like to hold by June, will allow us to have clear recommendations on our country's interest in membership. In September of this year, we would like to organize a national workshop that would bring together representatives of civil society as well as all key parts of the government, from the parliament to presidency all the way down to local municipalities. And this would allow an exchange of views and a discussion on the benefits that could be drawn from membership in the convention. And so the recommendations that flow from the national workshop will allow us to see the country's true and full position and to transmit a favorable opinion to the Cabinet of Ministers. And in turn, they will be able to forward a positive opinion referring the dossier to the National Assembly. Therefore, the CAR proposes that by December of 2026, we will be able to come back with a letter from the Cabinet of Ministers approving the process and another for the National Assembly approving ratification. I'd like to add that the CAR, upstream of all of this, through the preparatory workshops at the intersectoral piloting committee, has all of the necessary will and intention to work towards ratification. The CAR assures you that at Abu Dhabi, we will come back to you with the necessary legal instruments to approve and validate ratification, and we look forward, therefore, to eventually ratifying the convention, and we would like to offer our gratitude to the financial and other support which is necessary to allow us to complete the final two stages, including the organization of a workshop with the intersectoral committee. This is vital in order that all relevant parts of the government participate in the final stages, including taking into account the relevant SDGs, the different basin organizations also need to be involved. We need to go through the relevant committee in order to involve all stakeholders. However, this requires resources. We are, as you know, a post-conflict country, and this is why we present this roadmap in the hope of receiving your support to execute it. Thank you.
Thank you for the information. Surely you are also on a long track on the way. Please reminding again to keep your interventions in 2 minutes if possible. But of course, we are very happy to hear this progress towards this 100 flagship initiative, hopefully. So next, I would like to give the floor to Congo, please.
Madam Chair, thank you very much. Thank you for the honor of having afforded me the floor. I also like to introduce myself, Pascal Marenga. I am the counselor in charge of climate and environmental matters at the permanent mission of the Republic of Congo here in Geneva. I will allow myself to also offer a very brief, how should I say it, presentation of the current state of affairs in my country as regards the changing situation and our accession to the convention. Currently, the Republic of Congo is not officially acceded to the Convention on Water, to the UN Water Convention. However, it is clear that the process is moving along apace. Our country has reaffirmed its political will to join this treaty, and we put into place structures to make that happen. So here are some recent developments that I could share with you in detail. 5 points. First, the official commitment. The administration of the Republic of Congo has officially confirmed its will to accede, and this will allow for us to cooperate internationally and to prevent conflicts of usage. Also, the creation of a council. A consultative council, was inaugurated in 2025. This body adopted the Brazzaville Declaration, which commits us to actively support that accession, our accession. Technical support as well. Third item here, I would say that while we are still an observer, the Congo does have technical support from the Secretariat of the Convention in order to prepare for our incorporation into the mechanism. And lastly, the goal or target we've set. Our country would like to finalize its accession between now and the conference in December 2026. We will be actively participating, and rather we are actively participating in regional dynamics in order to achieve this target. I thank you kindly.
Thank you very much. Promising information. And next, we will move to existing member countries. So Namibia, please. And reminding you of the time, it's already running, unfortunately.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Allow me to echo a few sentiments, especially in line with the 100 Parties flagship initiative and the new accession. Namibia's experience shows that high-level political participation in international water diplomacy can move accession from intention to action. At the 2023 UN Water Conference side event, Speeding Up Transboundary Water Cooperation, the Value for Water Convention, Namibia publicly reaffirmed its commitment to accede to the Water Convention. At that time, Namibia had already submitted its expression of interest during the 9th meeting of the parties in September 2021. And the National Assembly, our National Assembly, had approved accession. The remaining steps were the preparation and the deposition of the accession instrument with the United Nations Treaty section. The ministers' participation in the side event helped fast-track this final stage by converting a national process into an international commitment. It created visibility, strengthened political ownership, and placed Namibia's accession process within the global community of states committed to cooperation, peace, and sustainable use of shared waters. Namibia accession was later done on the 8th of June. As we look forward to the 2026 UN Water Conference, Namibia's message is quite clear. Use this global platform not only to speak about cooperation, but to complete the formal steps required to join the convention. So, as the The next UN Water Conference should therefore become a moment for acceleration, where interested parties come prepared to announce deposit or finalize the accession instrument. In doing so, we will send a strong collective message that shared water must unite all of us. And Namibia is happy to assist where necessary. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Namibia, for your commitment and offer. Next one, I would invite Gambia. Oh, he left. All right. Then we have to wait. Cameroon, please.
Bonjour à tous.
Good morning to one and all, and thank you for having given me the floor. Dear co-chair, Cameroon would like to mention not the matter of accession because we're already a member, but we would like to indicate that in our we'd like to share with you information on our preparations for the December 2026 conference in Abu Dhabi. We would like to indicate that one week ago, we held an important sub-regional workshop in April. And in that sub-regional workshop, we brought together numerous stakeholders, some 50 individuals. They came from the sub-region, but they also came from places the world over. At that workshop, we also held exchanges, abundant exchanges on the issue of capacity building and technical cooperation across borders. This in step with the interactive dialogue. I wanted to note that these issues have been abundantly discussed at these exchanges in Yaoundé. These exchanges insisted on sharing of data, which something that we've been looking at since day one. We also have addressed the importance of using technology to address the challenges in the sub-region in water resources, and also looking at resources in general. But data is very important in all of these matters. We would call upon stakeholders and partners to support the sub-region so that we can better be able to have and use the data. Also, it's important to note the following. At the Yaoundé workshop, it was supported by a call for all countries of the sub-region, not just to accelerate their accession process to the Water Convention and to the 1997 treaty, but also to forge ahead with concrete plans, with concrete steps that are achievable. In Yaoundé, we called upon states to strengthen cross-border cooperation and to integrate the countries of the basin and finance partners to address this cross-border aspect in all discussions. Thank you, Madam Chair. This is what I wish to contribute at this time regarding the 2026 roadmap. Thank you.
Thank you very much for reminding the topic of the data sharing and information concrete steps. Gambia, please.
Thank you, Chair. As our accession coincided with the 2023 UN Water Conference, the Gambia wishes to share its experience during this intense global drive. The Gambia used the global momentum and visibility generated by the conference to strengthen national awareness and political commitments towards the accession to the 2 UN water conventions. The conference provided an important platform to engage with all partners at all levels. One of the most difficult moments in the process was that the accession process intersected with the national election cycle in early December 2021. And later the parliamentary elections, which further delayed parliamentary approval. Maintaining momentum during these periods required continuous engagement, coordination, and advocacy across institutions. Nevertheless, the National Assembly ratified the 2 conventions on 16th March 2023, just before the UN Water Conference. Barely a month after the conference, on the 23rd April 2023, His Excellency the President signed the instruments of accession, marking a major milestone in the Gambia's commitment to transboundary water cooperation. Strong technical support from the Water Convention Secretariat and partners and collaboration with regional and international partners helped sustain the process and move it forward. An important lesson from the Gambia's experience is that inclusive participation, strong coordination, and effective communication are essential for a successful accession process. International events such as the UN Water Conference can act as an important catalyst, but sustained national ownership and collaboration remain key to achieving accession. Thank you.
Thank you